Okay, hello guys. So this is going to be my first video explaining what it's like to have a baby in Japan and what the process looks like from the beginning to up to almost having the baby here, and what steps we had to do, to make, and as well like what places we had to go to and how it was to find a hospital here, especially one that a doctor could speak English. So we'll take you through the process here. So first thing we had to do, I'm looking at some notes here first of all, so please forgive me if I keep looking down. But pretty much the first thing we had to do is go to the city hall where we had to register and confirm that I'm having a baby. And they give a lot of different handbooks to have. Sorry, the camera's shaking. They give a lot of different handbooks for the parents to have, where it's very accommodating, and then there's also a lot of benefits. So I'll go through that. So the first thing I want to go over is the health examination voucher for expecting and new mothers. So obviously I'm going to be a new mom. This is going to be my first baby. And in Japan, it is quite a bit of a journey because I don't know, it's a whole different country having a baby here, and it's a huge milestone being in a country where I know a bit Japanese. I've made time and effort to learn the basics at least, but it can be a bit scary too because of the language barrier itself. So obviously I don't know all the medical terminology, but thankfully the hospital that we chose, which I'll go over later, some of the midwives and then the doctor does speak a bit of English. But anyways, the first thing that we got from the city hall is a health examination voucher, which basically it has coupons that you can use for each visit. So as you can tell, like, we used a whole bunch of them, and each time that we used these coupons, we did not have to pay like a lot, basically. Here's an example. I'm not going to show you the information, but I'll show you how much like one visit could cost. I'll fold it up. This says 500 yen, which is essentially in US dollars only $3.50 for one visit. And usually each visit, when I first found out I was pregnant, it started off with just going like once a month, and then it progressively turned into 3 weeks, and then 2 weeks and 1 week. And each time I visited, they gave pictures of the ultrasound. So I really appreciated that, because I've heard from, my cousins and friends from back home in the States that usually some people didn't get the ultrasound pictures for each visit. And even prior to that, before finding out finding our hospital, I was originally going to my OBGYN first. And she even gave us pictures, and our baby, we could tell, was like a little seed. It looked like a little seed, right? And then eventually it grew and stuff. So that was nice. So that's the first thing that they give at the city hall. The next one is a maternal and child health handbook. I'll cover the information here. But basically, I just have to write down personal information about myself here, and how I've been feeling through all my pregnancy. There's a page here that shows the pregnancy record. I'll show you a quick little glance here, but of how I felt like every couple months. And I wrote it in English, but I will be honest, I didn't do this like every few months. I just filled this out recently. But they just want to know like how you've been doing between, like, for example, like 3rd month of pregnancy to 4th to 5th to 6th, and and further on. And then each visit that we go I go to for to check our baby, they measure my tummy and the weight, and then there's always like a urine test as well. And then each time they write it down of how much like has changed and stuff. So this book is really handy. There's a lot more information here, but the other information is not filled out because it's for when our baby is here. So this will be filled out till later on. So that's the second thing we got at the City Hall. The next one we got here, it's not filled out at all, but it's a vaccination. It's a vaccination book for the baby. So when our baby is here, we have to fill this out each time and give it to the office for vaccinations, and of course we get a copy. Now the last thing I wanted to show you is this was the one that I was really excited about because I've seen it on many other women's bags, or like, you know, their backpacks on the train, or like, you know, walking around here. And it's basically like a little badge, and it says, "I have a baby in my tummy," in Japanese. So every day, obviously, when I would go to work, I always had this on my backpack from the beginning that I found I was pregnant. And you have priority seating on the trains. Usually it's at the end of each train section, if that makes sense. And usually priority seating, the colors of the seat is different. Usually it depends on the trains, but there are some trains that have some red seats, like the cushion seats. And then the priority seats, the priority seats are the color green. And there's usually a sign for priority seats and who gets priority seats. It includes a pregnant woman, anyone with any disabilities, anyone carrying a baby or an infant or a child, and any elderly people. And there's also another sign that's red, and it has a plus sign and a heart for people who have, you know, that they have medical or disability something that they have personally. I'm not sure how to really say it, but they usually have that on their backpack, so they get priority seats as well. But pretty much I would put this in my backpack every day, and I would always put my backpack in front to let other people know, especially as I was getting bigger, to let other people know, like, yeah, I'm pregnant, I need a seat. There's been times where I don't get a seat, I'll be honest, especially in the morning going to work, because the trains are so crowded. They're so crowded. So there were times I do need to stand, and I don't expect a seat all the time either, because really it's someone else's choice to see. And obviously now, being 37 weeks, I'm not going on the train a lot anymore, especially in the morning or when times are like really crowded. I'm far in right now. So, but yeah, you get this for free. And then I also bought one just off Amazon, just to have to put on my purses, like whenever I would go out, like I can just like switch it around and stuff. So those are the few that you get from the City Hall. And once you have everything confirmed, the next step is to find a hospital that works for you. So as I said previously before, I tried to find a hospital that speaks, that the doctor could speak English, or at least some English, and have some English speakers inside, you know. Thankfully, my OBGYN doctor recommended one that she worked at, like she works there like once a week. So we ended up checking that one out, and we felt very comfortable. People were very kind, no rushing. There was one that we checked out that we originally wanted to try to go to, but it was just already full by the time that we tried. And the reason we wanted to go there was because they offered epidural. In Japan, having epidural is still sort of taboo. Most hospitals and most private clinics where women give birth, they don't offer epidural. This is a whole nother topic, but just to make it short, it's taboo for the reason of like Japan, in the culture, it's believed that women are made to bear the pain. It's meant to be there, and some people still believe that kind of mindset here. So my original plan was, I was like, okay, I need to find a hospital that offers epidural, but unfortunately I wasn't able to find one, because by the time we were looking, all the hospitals that did offer epidural, they were already full. you have to reserve you have to find a hospital, and then you have to reserve specifically for epidural, and then you have to take classes on top of that about epidural. And how am I, like I don't fully speak Japanese, unfortunately, so I can only learn online about epidural. But it's interesting, it's so different from the States to here, like on how like it's not really a huge thing here. Most women here do natural delivery, or they do a C-section procedure, which I will get into later on. Another thing is there's a lot of local support for pregnancy, childbirth. There's a lot of special programs for pregnant women and new parents. There's interviews or consultations with a public health nurse. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do any or get any of these benefits or go to any of these classes or these programs because they're mostly all in Japanese. I'm sure if I went out of my way to go to like Osaka or something, I could have found one, but that's a bit far from where we live. So I've just been learning everything honestly from family, friends, YouTube, and doing my own research and just asking questions to confirm just in case as well to the doctor as well. Once you enroll into the public health insurance, so my insurance is through my husband. However, because we were able to apply and confirm at the city hall that I'm pregnant and get these handbooks, we are able to get a grant as well, basically a subsidy through Japan's government of 500,000 yen, which is about essentially $5,000, and this $5,000 can be used for the hospital stay. Now, currently right now, I'm due to have like a C-section because of my baby's position. She's breached, and she does not want to move, so that's a whole nother thing. But because I will have a C-section, out of pocket, we only have to pay $1,500 basically. But the 500,000 yen is used for the hospital stay. So according to my hospital, if I did natural delivery, I would only have to stay for about 3 or 4 days. But if I do C-section, I will have to stay about 5 days, I believe. Let me look. Yeah, it's about 5 days. And then natural delivery is only 3 days. Yeah. But pretty much I think it's a huge help for anyone who's going to have a baby here, because although having a baby in Japan is way cheaper than the States, you have to remember that like the income here is much lower, and so things can get pretty expensive. However, I think that the childbirth subsidy really does help out a whole lot, and it does come a long way. Another thing is after having your baby, you get about $100 each month for about 9 months, I want to say, or so. I have to double check with my husband. But basically, this is another small grant or support to help you get formula or things for diapers, wipes for the baby. And you get this each month as the baby grows for a little while, and then it does eventually stop. But that's another huge help. I think if it's $100 is $100, even if it's $50. So I wanted to show you also these are 2 handbooks I got specifically from the hospital we are going to. So the hospital we chose is about a 30-minute drive, so it is a bit far. However, we've gotten used to it, and does feel pretty fast on the way over there, like when we get there. And they gave us these 2 handbooks. This handbook is basically all the information about the hospital, what they provide, what exercises to do, what to eat, what to expect as like months go by, and then what to expect between the differences between natural delivery versus a C-section delivery. And because it's all in Nihongo, they gave me a English handbook, which is a much shorter summary than this one. Obviously, this is much thicker. But in here, it's pretty much the same thing. They show what they highly recommend during exercising, like walking, squats, cleaning floors on all fours, yoga, what kind of classes they offer. They offer maternity yoga, maternity aerobics, or Moksa. Sorry, I'm probably gonna say this wrong, but they offer Moksa Katori class. Obviously, you have to pay for these classes. These are not covered by insurance, but however, you can, if you want to, you can go to these classes. I just chose not to go to any of them and ended up buying myself my own yoga ball, some blocks, and a yoga mat just to do at home because, again, of the language barrier. And then there's also a section here where they show what to preparations for the hospital, basically what you should bring, things at the clinic, what they prepare for you, what they have for you, things that you can buy there, and then things to prepare when you're ready to return home with the baby. And then just some information about as time gets closer for the baby arriving, like what symptoms what you're gonna have, things like that. And then, as I mentioned before, they give a very detailed information about, delivery if you do natural, what to expect on the first, second, and third day, and then C-section, what to expect on, the 5 days that you're there, and then you get discharged on the 5th day after 5 days. And yeah, that's those two. They're pretty handy. I usually also take this. It's Kiki's delivery service. There's nothing in here, but usually I take this folder every time I would get like an ultrasound picture, just to place in here just in case. And then I also have this. Now this is I don't really use this as much, but before going to my hospital now, previous to that, I've been trying for about 1.5 years to have a baby. So I would constantly go to my OBGYN a lot. I would go maybe like 3 times a week. I'm sorry, not 3 times a week, 3 times a month. And so it was a lot of visits. And each visit I would go, each visit, I would have to show them my number card, which is essentially sort of like, I'll show you a picture. It's essentially, I look so bad. It's essentially like a social security card. And then I have to show them as well my, the clinic card that has my information on the back and number as well. And then each time I would get a prescription, whether it's at the OBGYN or at a doctor's or a different hospital, I have to show them this medicine prescription book. And as you can tell, I've gone to a lot of places, to be honest, but this is filled with like a lot of different prescriptions I've gotten. And I like it because you can keep record of what you've gotten in the past, just in case. Like, so with that being said, all these books, including the ones from the City Hall public office, the ones from the hospital clinic that I will be having my baby at, and all my little handy dandy book here of all the different doctors I've gone to, a prescription book. I keep that all in here. This little I don't know what to call it. It's like a little file folder, I guess. It's very common to have. You can find like different cute ones in the baby store. There's so many different types. But pretty much, my husband, he keeps everything pretty organized here. But all these books basically go in here. And then, as I mentioned before, these go on my bag. I used to use this one every day for work. As you can tell, it's been taped up because it started to kind of break a bit. I could have asked for a new one, but it's okay. It's just temporary. And then this one I would just switch around whenever I would switch like different bags depending on the day or whenever I'd go out. But yeah, those are the nice benefits of having a baby from Japan, in Japan. it's a lot of help from getting the huge grant to cover the hospital stay to using coupons. Oh, and I forgot to mention one more. I don't think I have it here. I don't know. I don't think it's here. I forgot to mention. Oh, it's right here. This is from the city hall as well. These are coupons to use for a taxi. So we haven't used it, to be honest, only because there hasn't been like a emergency, but they do have expiration dates. But basically these could be used if, like, just in case if, you know, it's too hard to carry my baby on the train to go to, you know, get my baby checked at the hospital, or, you know, if like worst comes to worst, like there's a huge emergency, like I can use these coupons to take a taxi, and it's $500 each time. And I think you can use these as much as you want, but that's another benefit that you get from the city hall. But yeah, baby's going to be here very soon, in 2 weeks or so. Currently, right now, I am scheduled for a C-section, but I think I will make a follow-up video about how my experience goes at the hospital, from the moment I get there to the procedure to having our baby in our arms and afterwards. So I look forward to making that video, and hopefully I can. I forgot to mention, if you guys have any questions for me, please leave the questions in the comments area, and please forgive me if I sound really awkward. This is my first, like, I guess, talking through video sort of kind of thing. So, but yeah, anyways, I hope you enjoyed it, learned some stuff, and I'll see you guys soon.